Welcome to Charis Daily Live Bible Study. Join believers from around the globe to study the Bible with Andrew Wommack and instructors from Charis Bible College.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Charis Daily Live Bible Study. My name's Claire, and it's an honor to be your host this morning. So I'm with Daniel Bennett, and I know you're going to be in for a big treat today. So for those of you who aren't familiar how our program works, I'm just going to run through a few announcements, and then I'm going to hand you over to Daniel, and you're going to be blessed. So if you're watching us live, you're able to interact with us, and you can do that by asking questions in the chat section on whatever platform you're watching from. So if Daniel says something today and you just want to know a little bit more, go ahead and submit your question. And then the last 10 to 15 minutes of this show, we're going to get to as many questions as we can. And if we can't get to all of them today, on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, we do like a Q&A roundup. So hopefully your question will be answered then, because sometimes a lot of questions come in and you guys ask some good questions sometimes. So send them in. And sometimes, most times. No, you do. You ask good questions. So send them in. And yeah, we'll get to as many as we can. And let me just tell you when you can catch us live in case you're not familiar with our schedule. So we're live Monday through Friday. Mondays and Fridays is 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays 6 p.m. And then Wednesdays, like today, bright and early at 7 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, so hopefully you may have to do a bit of calculating to find out, you know, what time zone you're in as to when you can catch us live. But hopefully you can catch us live multiple times a week. If you need prayer for anything, please don't be alone while you go through something. We have an amazing prayer team just waiting to take your call. So you can pick up the phone and you dial 719-635-1111. And one of our prayer ministers would love to pray with you. And they can also bless you with some resources on something you're going through, because we have over 200,000 hours of resources and materials on all different topics of life. So go ahead and give them a call, and I know they'll bless you today and help you as much as they can through whatever it is you're going through. And then while you're on the phone with them, if you'd like to donate or become a partner with this ministry, that's the perfect time to do it. You can also go online to awmi.net/give if you'd like to become a partner. And if you already are a partner with us, I just want to say a huge thank you, because you guys are such a blessing. You help us to put on programs like this that we put out there for free, but it does cost money. So thank you so much for being a partner. You're a huge blessing to this ministry. So yes, now I'm going to hand you over to Daniel. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. Good. So I'm excited to hear. Oh wait, let me introduce you.
Oh yeah.
You're the executive director of Charis Operations.
Education.
Education.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
You keep changing. It used to be operations.
You just keep getting promoted and promoted all the time.
It's kind of, we just play around with titles.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've never heard Daniel before, you guys are going to be absolutely blessed. I'm excited to hear what you have for us today, because I know it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I am a little bit sleep deprived, but not because it's bright and early. Usually on Wednesdays we joke about that. For me, it's just because still have a newborn.
Oh,
and
yes.
So I haven't had a good night's sleep in probably 4 months, even though the baby's only 2 months.
Oh, yeah, right.
Anyway, so we'll see. So during the Q&A, who knows what I'll say? Ask whatever you want, because my filter's not there right now. Anyway, so what I want to talk with you all about today is how to win. That's the title, and what that's inspired by is if you really enjoy games or sports of any sort, one of the first things you have to explain when you explain how to play a game is, how do you win, right? If you're teaching somebody about basketball, you know, and you say, well, you can pass the ball, you can shoot the ball, you can dribble the ball, you can run back and forth on the court, but if somebody doesn't know what the point is, like, what am I trying to do, then none of it really makes sense. But if you say, no, the point is to get points, right? The point's to get baskets. And it's like, the reason why you dribble is to get close to the basket. You know, the reason why you pass the ball is to get a basket. It all makes sense once you know what's the actual goal. Same thing, like, I have a much longer thing on this, but when I first got married, someone gave us a board game, and I really enjoyed it, and we started playing a whole bunch, and I started getting other games. And what I found is that when you play board games, you know, you have to learn, you know, sports most people know how to play them. You learn about them when you're a kid or something. But with games, it's like you constantly have to be learning the rules and teaching other people how to play the game. And what is kind of common in that world is if you're teaching somebody how to play a game, you have to start off with, here's how you win. You know, the point of this game is to win the race. It's a race, so you have to get here first. And now that you know that that's the goal, we can look at the beginning and say, and now here's how you do this, here's how you do that. You know, if maybe say a game like Monopoly, right? The goal is to get the most money and to ruin everyone's day. Just kidding. Everyone getting into an argument.
Every board gets flipped up at a Monopoly game.
Yeah, so the goal, I don't know exactly what the goal is of, of some games.
That's the goal.
Yeah, it's just to break relationships and all that. But if you start with what the goal is, right, say, example, for Monopoly, for those of you who know what that is, the goal is to make everybody else go bankrupt. And so if somebody just said, hey, the goal is to, you know, you can roll the dice to move forward, you can buy a property, you can, you know, it's like, but why? Why are we doing all this stuff? If you don't know the goal, you can just do things and have no clue why you're doing it, what the point is, what's high priority, what's low priority, anything like that. And so the reason I bring this up is because a lot of people live life this way. A lot of people live life and they learn how to do certain things. I know how to do this, I know how to do that. And they don't necessarily know how to tie that into a bigger picture of why am I doing these things. Same thing happens in the Christian world. People learn principles, keys, promises, things like that. But if we don't know what our goal is, then it's just a big assortment of promises, principles, keys, wisdom. Why do I need this though? In what way does it apply? How do I use it? Right? What if someone has the wrong goal? What if someone says, my goal in life is to be the wealthiest person who's ever lived? That's a goal, but is that what the goal should be? Right? And so if that's what your goal is, you're going to make a lot of decisions to help you go that direction, and maybe that's not the direction that you should be going. So again, if you have no context, if you don't know how to win, if you don't have a definition of what your goal is, all the other learning that you do might be very true things, but it won't be pointing in the right direction. Right? Again, what if somebody says, well, the way to win basketball is to pass the ball the most? And so they're on the court and they're just passing. Nobody shoots. They just pass and pass and pass and pass. And it's like, man, we got 8,000 passes this game. We are the best. And the other team is like, we won. You got 0 points. Right? So if you have the wrong definition of winning, you might be really, really good at what you're doing, and it might not be moving you toward any kind of goal. So like I say, a lot of people do this in life, even in the Christian world. There can be a lot of teaching, and if you don't have a framework of why do I want to be healed? Why do I want to be kind? Why do I want to be generous? Why do I want to be Christ-like? Why do I want to know my identity? Right? If you can learn all these things, but if you don't know why you're doing this, what direction you're trying to go, it's not going to make as much sense. But if you do know what you're going after, everything falls into place a lot more easily. It's like, no, my goal is this. Anything that helps me get closer to that goal is good. Anything that gets in my way isn't good. I'll add, now I know what to add to my life, what to remove from my life, all kinds of things like that. So I want to go over a couple things on this. So first of all, if you know your goal, there's a couple things that are easier. There's actually a lot more than just a couple, but I'll just mention a couple real quick. I guess I have 3 right here. So if we know our goal, everything is easier. The first one that I'd say becomes easier is your priorities. Right? In life, what's more important? What's most important? You know, it's easy to come up with a list and say like, well, these are my top 10 priorities. These are my top 20 priorities, whatever it is. But which one is number 1? Which one is number 2? Which one is number 3? If you know your goal, your priorities become really, really easy. It just becomes obvious of this is more important than that. Because what happens is if you don't know what your priorities are, in what order they're in, you might make a decision and say, this is important to me, so I'm going to do this. And you might accidentally forget, well, actually, this is importance number 4. By doing this thing over here, I actually neglected my priority number 1, 2, and 3. So that can happen a lot if we don't have clear understanding of what's most important to us. And again, if you don't know what your goal is, then it's hard to prioritize. But if you do know your goal, priorities can kind of fall into place pretty easily. The next one, I'll go through these kind of quickly to move on to the next section. The next one that becomes much easier if you know your goal is strategy, right? Whether you're playing a sport, a game, anything in life really, your career, whatever it is if you know your goal, now you can look at your goal and you can see what's in my way and what will help me get there, right? What will stop me from getting there? What will help me get there, right? So if you want to be an athlete and you say, okay, I want to be a professional athlete, and you see soft drinks, you're like, soft drinks won't help me get there. They'll actually hurt me. They won't help my health. They won't help my athleticism. So I'm not going to have soft drinks as much. Or whatever it is, right? You can look at it, you can say, this friendship over here is holding me back. This person's really cynical. They don't want to do what I want to do. And so, maybe this relationship isn't one. I'm not referring to your marriage. I'm referring to other relationships, right? Because again, priorities, if you know what your goal is. But again, strategy will flow from knowing what your goal is. Because you say, if that's where I'm trying to go, what will help me get there? What decisions can I do? What education do I need in order to get there? What relationships do I need? What commitments do I need in my life? What should I spend my time doing? All kinds of things like that will flow from it, right? Again, to go back to basketball, if you say, okay, my goal is to get the most points, all right, now I know that I want to be able to pass the ball to whoever can make the basket. And now I know I want to be good at making baskets, right? It all flows from that. So again, if you know your goal, okay, I want to be Christ-like. Well, now I know, like, to be Christ-like, I need to know who I am in Christ. I need to know what God's done for me. I need to know my true identity. And so it all starts to fall into place if you know what you're trying to do. And the third one, very similar. So the first one is your priorities are much easier if you know your goal. The second one is strategy is much easier. The third one here is creativity. Right? Creativity can flow from knowing what you're trying to do and having a clear understanding of your goal. For example, there's an old TV show called MacGyver from a while back when I was growing up. And I think they did a reboot. Yeah. But it's probably not worth. I don't know. Not like the original. I haven't checked it out, so I don't know. Maybe it's great. But he would be like, okay, so I need an airplane, and all I've got is a bathtub and an ironing board and a fan, right? Somehow he makes it, right? So that's a bit unrealistic. But again, when you know your goal, suddenly you can be creative related to your goal. And so, similar thing, like say even with something artsy, where it's like, if you're a choreographer, again, I use dance a lot, not because I can dance, but because my wife was a dancer. So, but a good choreographer doesn't just say, go out there and do random stuff, who cares? Right? No, it's like, here's what we're going for. Here's the story that we're trying to tell. Here's the emotion that we're trying to portray. Here's the journey we want to take the audience on. And so because of that, here's the dance moves that would complement the music, that would complement what we're going for, right? So creativity flows from knowing what your goal is. If you say, well, I just want to dance and look cool, actually, that is a goal, right? I want it to look cool. Okay, so what would look really cool? Okay, well, let's build up to that really, oh, you can do that cool move? Okay, let's build up to that so we can really highlight it. So again, creativity of all sorts, whether it's photography, right? Okay, I want the light to be doing this. I want to capture that. I want this in the background, this in the foreground. Creativity flows from knowing what you're going for, what your goal is. If you're doing a portrait of somebody, if you know, my goal is I want to capture that one look I saw you make that one time, that's what I want to capture. Again, creativity flows from knowing your goal. So the next part of this, okay, so again, we want to know how to win. So what is winning? What should winning be in life? What should our goal be? And a lot of people have different kinds of goals. For some people, their goal is, I want my kids to have a better life than I had. It's not a bad goal, but that might not necessarily be the best goal, the highest priority goal. Some people's goal may be, I want generational wealth. I want whatever it may be. There's a lot of good goals, there's bad goals, right? I want people to admire me. I just want to be better than everybody. Whatever it is, whether we say it that way or not, there's good goals, there's bad goals, but what's the best goal to have, right? If goals are so important, what's the absolute best one to have? And really, that's between you and God. And I'll just say my goal, my ultimate goal has evolved the more I know God. There are times in my life where it was good, but then, things changed and I realized, like, actually I've got an even better goal.
That's good.
And so that can change over time, and really, I say, find people you admire and why do you admire them, right? Don't just say, well, man, Paul was great, but okay, if Paul was great, what was his goal? Maybe I'll copy his. If Peter was great, what was his goal? Maybe I'll copy his. And so you can take inspiration from other people, but I want to share with you all kind of what my goal is currently. I have a feeling I won't change it, but you never know. I didn't think I'd change it before either. I like all my old goals. I don't have time to go into all of those. But right now, my main goal is to hear God as clearly as possible and obey him as completely as possible.
That's good.
And I want to explain why. Because when I first heard this, when God first put this in my heart, I didn't think it was that good. I was like, well, that doesn't sound as cool as like my goal is intimacy with God. My goal is friendship with God. My goal is humility. My goal is whatever. Things that I've wanted and that I still want. And so why did this one supersede all of those? Right? And I was like, I want something more exciting and inspiring, because the thing is, if someone says, what's your goal in life? And it's like, I want to hear God clearly and obey him completely. It's like, oh, that just sounds legalistic, right? I mean, that sounds like you don't know that you can have friendship with God, that you don't know that, there's worship and joy and all these things. It can sound really bad because a lot of people might say something similar who have a different kind of relationship with God that you don't necessarily want to imitate. But the reason I like this, right, is that the word obedience can be scary. A lot of Christians even, they cringe if they hear someone talk about obedience because they've been beat up by legalism, right. They've been abused by a church, whatever it is, like obey, 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 obey. And basically it just means, here's a list of external rules that you need to follow to be good enough. And so people get turned off by that. But really, obedience is actually completely dependent on who you're obeying. Right? The reason why in the world it's so negative is because so many times obedience is used as a way to abuse people, as a way to say, I'm better than you. You do what I want for me, not for you. And so it can be it can be a form of abuse, or even if it's not abusive, it can be a form of self-centeredness, and the person who everyone has to obey is considered more important, better, whatever it is. And so it's like, well, no, I don't want that kind of relationship with God where it's condescending and it's self-centered for him and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you know what God is like, the idea of obeying him is actually the most amazing thing in the world, because it all depends on who you're obeying and what they want. And so let me break that down a little bit more, right? It's, Romans 1, verse 1. Not going in depth, we're going to cover all of Romans, starting in whatnot. But Paul says, and he says this many times in Scripture, he says, Paul, a bondservant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated to the gospel of God. But the beginning right there, a bondservant of Jesus Christ. Now, does Paul call himself a bondservant because he didn't have enough revelation? It's like, Paul, my goodness, you should, if you had more revelation, you would say, Paul, a friend of God. Paul, a child of God. Paul, a new creation in Christ. Why is he saying Paul, a bondservant in Christ? Is it because he doesn't have enough revelation, or is it because he has so much revelation? Right? And again, that's the key. It's who's he bonded to? Who's he a bondservant of? That changes everything. Because the person that you obey, who they are and what they want for you completely impacts if obedience is a good thing or an abusive thing. And so, again, there can be a subtle fear connected to the concept of obeying, because it can be seen as taking, like greed, obey me, right? People, you've even got people who use the Bible as a form of abusing people, or husbands saying to their wives, the Bible says submit, do whatever I want. You're not allowed to make decisions. I make all, and that's very messed up.
Yeah.
That's not the topic right now. But that's not God's heart. That's not what that scripture and context is talking about, of a loving relationship where both people are laying down their lives for each other. 1 Corinthians 13, I won't go into the whole chapter, but you all know 1 Corinthians 13. It says love is not self-seeking, right? God is love. Love is not self-seeking, so God's not self-seeking. You don't have to be afraid that if you submit to God, that he's going to say, gimme, gimme, gimme. It's all about me. God's motivated by blessing us, by wanting to give, not just to take from us.
Yep.
And so, again, so here's what I'm getting to, is that if you can hear God clearly and obey him completely, what do you think he's going to do? What do you think he's going to do with your life? Where do you think he's going to lead you? Right? Is he going to say, thank goodness, you are hearing me clearly, you're obeying me completely, so now I can just ruin your life? Obviously not, right? God is so good. God loves you more than you love yourself. God wants good things for you more than you want them. God wants intimacy with you more than you do. So if if you say, well, I don't want to obey, I want intimacy with God. If you can hear him and if you obey him, don't you think that he will lead you into intimacy? Right? Because if you're pursuing intimacy and you say, I'm going to pursue this on my own, I want friendship with God and I'm going to pursue friendship with God on my own, wouldn't it be easier to say, God, you know how I can have better friendship with you. You show me how to walk in this. You show me how to discover this, right? When we fully appreciate that God's our teacher, that he wants to lead us by the hand into good things, we can say, you know what, I don't have to be afraid of saying, God, I want this and I want that and I want that. You can just step back and say, God, I want whatever you want for me. Because I trust you. I know that you want good things for me more than I do. So it kind of gives us peace of like, you know what, I can trust you. Because really that's the bottom line with obedience is, God, I trust you so much that I'll do what you say, even if it doesn't make sense on the surface, because I know that you're leading me into something that's better than I can even imagine.
Yeah.
You want good things for me. When you say, forgive that person, and everything inside of me says, I don't want to forgive that person, I'm going to say, you know what, I trust you, so I'm going to forgive them because I know that you are trying to take me someplace that I'd love to go if I just knew about it.
That's awesome.
So, what kinds of things does God say to us if we're hearing him clearly, right? Some people are scared to listen because they're like, well, if I can hear God clearly, he's just going to tell me I'm not good enough. He's going to tell me to work harder, try harder, right? And so they're like, they're afraid if I take the time to listen, he's going to say, be more holy, you're not good enough. That's not what God says. God says, I made you holy, be yourself, right? He says, stop believing that lie, look at who you actually are. God's telling you good things. And so if you realize the amazing things God's trying to say to us all the time, the things he wants to reveal to us, the things he wants to set us free from, all that, if we truly understand what he's trying to do, then it becomes obvious why the most important thing in the world is I should hear him. I should believe him. He's trying to change what I think. He's trying to take me places. He's trying to show me things in me and through me. So listening to him is the best thing I could possibly do, right? What good thing could you possibly want that God wouldn't take you to if you heard him and obeyed him? Right? What exactly is your goal that you think that you have to do on your own that God wouldn't take you there? See, if God doesn't want it for me, then I don't want it because I trust him. He knows me more than I know me. He made me. He knows what I enjoy more than I know what I enjoy. He knows what would bless me more than I know what would bless me. So instead of me saying, God, here's what I want, here's what I want, here's what I want, I can just say, like, God, I want what you want. Tell me how to get there. And I'm not saying it's wrong to pour your heart out before God, to talk about your dreams. Those are all great things, but that's the thing. God's telling you that kind of stuff. Like God says, hey, let's talk together. Let's dream together. You know, what are the desires of your heart?
That's good.
Right, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6 is very well known. But it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Right? Lean not on your own understanding. Don't lean on what you understand about what you need. Let God tell you what you need. Again, I'm not saying that God's going to go against his word. It's the exact opposite. So I'm not saying stop asking God for healing. He knows what you actually need. I'm not saying that at all, because you see in his word what he actually wants. What I'm saying is prioritize hearing him, because he's the one who will show you how to receive these things, how to walk in these things, how to have a better marriage, how to be a better parent, how to be a better friend, how to be better in your career and your calling and all these different things. But again, he wants to direct your path. He wants to lead you by the hand and say, here's how to get where I want to take you. Right? I've said this before, but one of my favorite examples is David. When he got anointed to be king as a teenager, what did he do? He didn't march to the capital and tell Saul, hey, Saul, that's my crown. Right? He just went back to the sheep.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, God anointed me to be king. God will make me king. All I need to do is spend one day at a time enjoying God, doing what he's called me to do right now. And God will take me there. Right? When God puts a dream in your heart, a vision in your heart, it's not so that you can do it on your own. He's showing you where he wants to take you. If you let him lead you by the hand, if you listen to him, if you follow him, if you obey him. Again, obedience not in a negative way. Obedience in the sense of, if you tell me I'm amazing, I believe you. That's obeying God. If you tell me that I'm righteous, I believe you. If you tell me that I'm kind, I believe you. If you tell me I'm generous, I believe you. You know, if you tell me to stretch out my hand to be healed, I'll stretch out my hand to be healed. If you tell me to, whatever it is that you lead me to do, I know that you're leading me by the hand to where you want to take me. So that's why I love this so much. This concept of like, what's my definition of winning is like, it's kind of indirect. It's kind of cheating in a sense of my definition of winning is doing whatever God tells me to do because he knows how to make me win. He knows how to take me to victory. So my goal is whatever you tell me to do, Lord, I want to hear you and I want to trust you enough to obey you. And so again, there's all kinds of things that I want. I want to know him more. I want to experience his best. I want to walk in miracles. I want to be a light in dark places. I want to overflow and bless the people around me. I want supernatural joy and peace and health and all these different things. I want amazing relationships. I want every single good thing he has for me. But the best way to get it, the easiest way to get it, is to let him show me. Again, all I need to know is my teacher, and he will teach me everything else. Right? I don't need to have 15,000 different principles that I pursue on my own. If I pursue him, he'll show me how to get the rest of them. And so again, it's like the kingdom of God is like a treasure chest. And hearing him is the key to opening the whole thing. So it's like I don't have to just become a master at every single thing on my own when I have an amazing teacher who's always with me. Holy Spirit is our teacher. In the Word, he reveals himself to us. He wants to show me these things, and it's amazing. So why limit God to my imagination? Why say, God, here's what I ask for. That's all that I want you to give for me. It's all I'm willing to hear you talk to me about. When he might be saying, oh, those things are great. That's an apple, but I want to give you the apple tree. And you're actually, I have bigger plans for you than what you're asking for. So
it's hard sometimes, isn't it?
It starts off hard.
For me, sometimes that's hard because I have dreams and I have goals. And sometimes I'm like, okay, am I limiting you, Lord? That's one question. And then the other one is like, are they my goals? Are they from you? I'm like, oh, I struggle with it sometimes. You know?
And to me, it really, I'd say I used to have this back and forth of like, are you sure, God? That doesn't seem to make sense. That doesn't look like the direction that I thought you put in my heart to go. And like finally, it's as you build momentum with him, it can get to a place where it's like, you know what? You've proven yourself to me enough. I'm going to stop asking you to prove yourself to me. Every time I've trusted you, it's worked out. I'm going to stop asking you.
So true.
And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm bored of not trusting you. Let's cut out that part of life where it's like you tell me something, I deliberate, ask my friends, ask for counsel, ask for all this other stuff. Finally I obey and it's great. And I was like, let's just cut that part out. If you tell me something, I'll just be like, I believe you. My brain will catch up, but I believe you right away. And just speed this process up. It's like in a traffic jam. Some people live their Christian lives like that, where it's like, it's like you make a little bit of progress and then you're like, nope, I gotta wait until I completely understand why you're asking me to do this. And then you understand and you move a little bit forward. And God told me years ago, he's like, if you limit me to how fast you understand things, we're not going very far.
Oh boy.
And he's like, if you just trust me, there's so many places I want to take you, but you need to understand how much you trust me. You don't have to understand where we're going and why we're going there. Again, all within the context of what he says in the Word, right? He doesn't violate who he is in some weird way. So don't take this in a weird direction. But again, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Here's a great example. Right? He leads me beside the still waters. God wants to take you amazing places. God wants to take you to places of abundance. He wants to bless you in your life. But the key is for him to be your shepherd and for you to follow him. Right? He's trying to take you to great places and do wonderful things in your life, but will you follow him? What if you say, well, no, I'm supposed to go right there? And God's like, well, yeah, but I'm taking you the shortcut. I'm taking you this other path, and you're trying to go up a mountain and then back down the mountain to get to the other side. I'm just going to take you around it. Or actually, there's a cave through the middle that can, because in John 10, verse 27, Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. That's the key. That's all that I'm saying right here is to be a good sheep, the key is to hear his voice and follow him. If you hear his voice and you follow him and he's not having to drag you, there's so many places, so many green pastures he wants to take you where you're going to love it. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be so blessed. But if you constantly are resisting and he's like, come on, just stop doubting me every single time I tell you to take a leap of faith. Stop questioning every single time I say, forgive that person. Turn the other cheek. Be kind to this person. Stop believing that lie about yourself. And you're like, no, I refuse, right? It just slows down all the wonderful things he wants to do in your life. So for me, that's the key to winning is let God tell me. And then me trust him enough to actually follow him, to actually believe him and trust him. when he tells me something, I'm not just going to say, are you sure that I'm holy? I don't feel holy this morning. And God's like, just trust me, you're holy. I made you. Yeah. I made you a new creation, not because you were so good, but because I'm so good and I transformed you, made you a new creation, just like Jesus. And to get to a place where you're like, you know what? I believe you. I'm committed to believing you, even if it doesn't feel like that always in the surface. And once you do that, then you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. The other side of that door is absolutely amazing, and it's easy and it's fun. So again, that's the thing is, if you know how to win, if you know what your singular goal is, everything else now makes sense. So for me, when I grow, when I listen to teachings, when I think about things, I'm like, does that help me hear God more clearly? Does that help me trust him more to where I obey him completely? If it does, then that's great. If it doesn't, then do I really need that in my life? If this right here doesn't help me hear him more clearly, then I don't need it. If this does help me hear him more clearly, great. But what's the point of hearing him if I won't trust him when he speaks to me, right? So it's both. That's why it really needs to be hand in hand. It's I want to hear you so clearly, but also trust what I hear so much that now I can go wherever he wants to take me. I mean, one of my favorite prayers is, God, surprise me. But you can only really say that if you know what he's like and you know that he'll only surprise you with good things, even if it's things you don't understand at the moment, that he's not going to smack you upside the head and torment you and things like that. So anyway, I hope that's been a blessing to some of you, and I look forward to answering some of your questions. Hopefully.
Yeah, we've had some good questions.
Hopefully some are good. I know Claire said we have some good questions, so don't give me all the lame ones.
These ones are good questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with Etinosa on YouTube, and they're asking, is it a good approach to prepare for failure even while you aim to win?
Depends what you mean. So to me, that can really undercut your faith if you're focusing on your backup plan, right? If you get in an airplane, imagine if you were getting in an airplane and you saw the pilot and co-pilot and all the flight attendants putting on parachutes. How much would you enjoy that flight? Right. Like, what exactly are you preparing for? And so if you're undermining your faith by saying like, well, here's what I want, but obviously that's probably not going to happen, so just in case, here's my plan B. But in other senses, in a broader sense, you can do that in the sense of, I trust God no matter what. If something doesn't work out, I know it wasn't God. My trust is in him. And so, okay, what I wanted to happen didn't happen, but I know God isn't the weak link in the chain. I trust him, I trust his word. Maybe I don't understand what happens, but I do understand who he is, what he's like, what he's promised. So, okay, I don't understand, but I know that he's not the weak link. He's not the short circuit in this situation. So I can go to him and say, God, because I trust you so much, help me understand these other situations. Help me overcome whatever other difficulties are coming up in life or challenges. Or, hey, God, I thought you said that this was mine, but that thief over there says it's his. What do I do? Right? And, God's like, well, it's not his, it's yours. But he's going to try and take it from you. So let's resist him and make him run away. So to me, on the broader sense, you can prepare yourself for any eventuality by establishing your heart in what you know to be true, so that you're not so caught up in a specific way the prayer or the desire or the promise can be fulfilled, so that you're like, that's the way I think it's going to be fulfilled, but the bottom line is I trust God no matter what, and I know he's going to get me to the core of that either way. So again, in the moment, I'd say many times I've caught myself where God said, Daniel, you think that you're strategizing, you're actually planning for failure. Stop it. Trust me. And a lot of times he's told me to dream bigger, to stop undermining myself, of like, stop pretending that that's what you want. What you really want is that, but that's so big it scares you that you pretend you don't actually want it, and you want
just to preserve yourself.
Yeah. And so God's constantly told me, like, think bigger, stop limiting yourself to that, stop saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. And so a lot of times God's had to correct me on making my plan B, pretending my plan B is my plan A.
Yeah, that's really good.
And pouring all my passion into plan B. Because basically it's, all right, so assuming that God's not with me, what will I do? It's like, you know what? I want God to be with me.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to focus on. I'd rather fail pursuing God's best than to pursue what I can do in my own strength on my own. So again, and on the quick answer is don't plan for plan B, but the broader answer is yes, plan for plan B in the sense of, you know what, I don't care if God says go to the other side of the lake and a storm comes. I'm not going to say, oh my goodness, my plan A went out the window. It's, you know what, the boat sank, I'm going to walk on water, right? It's whatever God called me to, I know I'm going to do, but it might not look the way I thought. So to me, the best plan B, the parachute you want, is knowing who He is. Knowing, like, if I do mess up, I can do what Peter did when he sank in the lake. Jesus, help me. I messed up. So my plan B is I know who to go to when I mess up. So again, to me, it's yes and no. Hope that helps.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. Okay. Shar on Facebook is asking, sometimes we think we are making the right choices, but it seems we never reach the goal. How do we know for sure if we are trying to achieve the right goal?
Well, again, to me, that's part of the beauty of this is if you simplify your life and instead of saying, like, your calling shouldn't be your main goal. Why do you have that calling? Right, so say, for example, that your calling is to be the best Sunday school teacher in the world. I'm just making this up. So if your goal is, I want to be the best Sunday school teacher for children in the world, that actually shouldn't be your main goal. Your main goal should be why you want to do that. My goal is, I want to walk in everything God's called me to. I want to overflow. I want to experience God's best. I want to be a blessing to people around me. And the way that I'm going to do that is by my calling over here. But if my calling over here changes, or if I misunderstood it, that's fine because my true goal didn't change. So again, that's the power of knowing what your ultimate goal is, because callings come and go. And callings sometimes, like there's times I pursued a certain calling and God showed me later on I was wrong. I was chasing the shadow of my real calling. God's like, you thought that that's what I called you to. I actually called you to something better, but you got fixated on what you thought your calling was. I won't derail by going into the exact example of that. But I was like, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And God's like, you want that because of some key things about it, but you misunderstood the application, what the way that's actually going to apply is over here. So again, when you know your true calling, why do you want to step into whatever that calling is that's in your heart? Don't get too fixated on that. Think of why do you want that in the first place? Because sometimes God's like a timing issue, or maybe it's just the way that it's going to happen, or there's so many dreams that God's fulfilled in me that didn't happen the way I thought they would because I didn't know what I needed to know. Like, I mean, even for example, Charis, like when I was in the military, God put in my heart to go to Bible college when I got out, but I didn't know Charis existed. So I was praying about it and I was like, do I go to this one? Do I go to that one? The other one? I mean, there's multiple good ones out there. I think we're the best. We're in the top 20. No, I think we're fantastic. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I'm just joking. I think it's fantastic here. I absolutely love it. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that. I'd be wherever I thought it was. Yeah. And so I didn't know this one existed. And so I was looking into other ones, pursuing other ones. And when I found out about this one, I was like, oh, well, this is the one I'm called to. I just didn't even know how to pray about that because I didn't even know it existed. It can be like that with a lot of callings, where it's like you may be like, well, that's my calling. I want to be a nurse. And so that's my calling because I want to help people. And God's like, well, no, the root behind that is you want to bless people. And the root behind that is because you love me and you're overflowing with joy and compassion. You want to bless people. And maybe nurse is what you thought the best way to do that was, but God may say, actually, I want you to do this over here. So again, it's like passing the ball or dunking the ball. You know, you may think, with basketball, right? You may think you want to shoot 3-pointers, and God may say, actually, you just want to win the game. And you're better as someone who passes the ball or someone who dunks the ball. So again, when you know your true ultimate goal, these other things become less overwhelming because it's not a matter of, did I fail in that calling? It's, did I get better at hearing God more clearly? Did I get better at obeying Him more completely? And if I did, then I can enjoy where I am right now and trust that He'll take me where He wants me to be tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And so what happens with a lot of these big callings is you don't even realize you arrived until you look back and you realize, oh my goodness, I used to dream about this. I didn't even realize I got here because I was just focused on today and what God has for me today. And you look back and you're like, how on earth did I get here? What on earth happened? So again, don't be discouraged by a call. That's not your ultimate goal. Your ultimate call is friendship with Him, intimacy with Him, trusting Him, hearing Him, and whatever He has for you. And what's your calling in this world is actually just one chapter of the book of your life. And so, so I'd say focus on the bigger picture and let those other things fall into place, even if they shift a little bit.
I love what you said. It's not sometimes until you look back that you realize just what God has done. Because like you say, sometimes you're praying for something, but you're so limited in your thinking that you're praying for this little thing, and God's like, I got this for you. But because we don't trust him fully, or we think this is our little goal, that's all we're praying for, and we kind of stump ourselves,
I know I can look at old journals from like 20 years ago and be shocked of, like, I used to dream about that, and I didn't even realize that, like, 10 years ago, God took me there, but it wasn't the way I expected.
Yeah.
And so, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, he's so good. He's so good. Okay, Brina on YouTube is asking, how can you be sure that it's God talking and not your own mind?
Well, that's a good question. It's a big topic. I'd say, when you hear God, there's some rules of thumb, right? God's never going to contradict his word. So if you think God's saying, like, I want you to be sick for my glory, you can look in God's word and know that that's not what glorifies God. So he's not going to contradict himself. Some people are looking for an external audible voice. And that's actually very rare, and it's not the best form of hearing God because, he's inside of you. And so the best way to hear God is from the inside out. And so as you know God, again, there's more teachings on this, so I'd encourage you to find more full teachings on this. But God leads us many times through peace in our hearts. He speaks to us heart to heart. He leads us through our desires, right? When you spend time with God, he will give you his desires. He'll put desires in your heart that manifest through that friendship with him. You're like, man, suddenly I really want this, and I really care about that. I mean, for example, I used to want to be a hermit. I used to want to be a loner. I didn't really care about other people. I liked God, and I just wanted to spend time with God. But as I knew him, I couldn't help it. He loves people. You can't get close to God and not start to love people also. And so as you spend time with God, he starts to transform you and change your desires, change your thoughts, things like that. So again, that's another way of hearing God. So again, that's a very short answer. I encourage you to find there's other live Bible studies and other resources on awmi.net where you can find more teachings on hearing God's voice, how to find, follow, fulfill your destiny, things like that. So I encourage you to dig deeper because I can't do it justice in just a couple minutes. Yeah. But I hope that's at least a starting point.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Samaya on YouTube is asking, if I keep falling short of the win in a goal, what can be the reason? Should I reevaluate? Should I move on to something else? Or should I continue with the process until I finally win?
So again, I would say, I know it sounds like I'm splitting hairs, but I don't think I am. Focusing on the bigger goal. If your goal is how to hearing God more clearly and obeying him more completely, then you can't keep falling short of that. Because the goal is growth. So it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't trust God, and I wish I had. Okay, that's growth. I want to trust God more today than I did yesterday. How can I trust God more? So instead of saying like, well, look, I failed, succeeded, failed, succeeded. You don't look at it that way. You say, am I trusting God more? I mean, you can even look at, if you look at your goal, if you look at it as this calling or that calling or some kind of measurable thing like that, then you can say, I failed, I succeeded, and all that. But again, you want the bigger picture goal. Ultimately, can I hear God more clearly? Good. And so as long as you're moving in that direction, and if you fall down, you get back up, right? So you say, you know what, I messed up. I filled my head with garbage, and now I actually can hear God less clearly. But now I don't want to. So now I'm going forward, God, how do I avoid filling my head with garbage again so that I can hear you more clearly? So to me, when you know what your goal is, it's not, if you're trying to win the basketball game, it doesn't mean you make every basket, right? If you're trying to win the soccer game, it doesn't mean you make a goal every time you kick the ball. It's, do I win the game in the end? If you're still breathing, you're still in it. So you haven't actually failed yet. Amen. You're just growing. So if you miss the basket, if you miss the goal, whatever it is, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you just keep growing. You keep going with God. And so it's like, hey, God, based on that, I'm getting back up. Thanks for picking me back up, Lord. I just tripped. How do I hear you more clearly? How do I trust you more completely? How do I follow you more completely? So to me, I kind of disagree with the question that you haven't been failing. Maybe in a micro sense you have of like, okay, I didn't make the right decision there. I didn't make the right decision there. But okay, but right here, right now, pick yourself back up. That's not who you are. Who's God telling you are, right? If you can hear him clearly, he's not calling you a failure. He's telling you how awesome you are, how amazing you are. And he's trying to show you like, hey, take me by the hand and I will show you how to walk in victory. So to me, life is not a series of failures and falling short. It's okay. How do I stop making that mistake? How do I stop giving into that temptation? How do I stop believing that lie? And God will show you those things. I mean, God will wipe all that stuff off you. He's like, that's not who you are. So a righteous man falls 7 times, gets back up, never stops being righteous. You're still righteous. Get back up, let God lead you where He's trying to take you, and let God show you more things. Ask questions. If you mess up, just ask the question. Why did I mess up? What's going on? Why did I make that decision? That's not the real me, so why did I do that anyway? Let God tell you. Let God explain those things to you. And so, again, look at the bigger picture where it's a lifelong journey, not a series of like, I fell short, I didn't fall short.
Yeah, that's so good.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah. We are out of time, guys. I'm so sorry. I know we couldn't get to every question. This has been really good, Daniel. Thank you so much. For those of you whose questions we couldn't get to, if you tune in on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, we're going to do a Q&A roundup where there's quite a few questions that came in that were very similar, so sometimes we'll consolidate them. But one of our instructors will answer more of those questions on Tuesday. And again, if you need prayer, please call our prayer line, 719-635-1111, and let them just help you through something. So God bless you guys. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, bye.
Join us every weekday for our daily live stream on Gospel Truth TV.